Good evening and welcome to Budget Model Railways and an update on my shelf layout challenge, and this is the double O version. So you'll all have seen the N-Gage versions. If you're not familiar with the challenge, please have a look on our website and a couple of videos ago on our channel, and you'll see all the details. But basically it's a challenge to make a layout on a 60 centimetre by 23.5 centimetre floating shelf. And it's had a lot of interest, thank you very much. And what this one was about is I built both of mine in N-Gage, which is a bit easier, but I figured a lot of people would want to do double O, and actually we've had quite a lot of overseas people who'd like to do it in HO, which is obviously the same track. So I thought I would do a double O one, just to show willing, really, to share people's pain, because it's a little bit trickier. And you can basically get 1 point in. So this is, you've seen this in an earlier video, but obviously there's quite a bit of progress. And I wanted to talk a little bit about how I actually made some of this stuff, because I've had people saying to me, well, how do you do things? Now, firstly, I would say, please look back through our very extensive video collection. I quite often get people saying, why don't you make a video on this? Why don't you make a video on that? And there was a guy the other day, and I had to politely say, we've actually made 3 videos on it. And so it's always worth just looking back through the older videos. So this one, relatively simple. I'm going to take the buildings and locos and things off because it makes it easier to move the layout around to show you what I want to show you. So if you've seen the earlier video, you know I'm making a sort of colliery industrial factory, which is where that comes from. So what I was very lucky to get or managed to remember that I'd seen before is this. So this is a Gagemaster industrial back scene. Now this is the N-Gage version. 2 reasons for that. I didn't want a really high back scene because the timber I've got is exactly this size. It's almost exactly the right size. It's a bit of this, which is, I've got quite a bit of old laminate flooring kicking around from the conservatory rebuild. And this back scene, therefore, is only 6 inches tall, which is spot on. And more importantly, it was only that much too long. The problem is with the double O ones, yeah, that's great. It's 9 inches tall, but it's over 1 metre wasted. And it's quite substantially more expensive. I think I paid about £7 or £8 for this one. So I only paid £5 for the base. I bought a back scene. So let's bring you around here a little bit. So the actual physical back scene, whoa, camera's split. It's really simple. You cut the timber to shape, drill holes, screw it into. One of the other advantages of using the floating shelves is they're nice and robust, and you get really flat edges. Now, if you haven't got laminate or hardboard or something like that kicking around, then what I would suggest is this, which is foam board. I've used this quite successfully. You can cut it with a Stanley knife. It's relatively expensive. It's about £4 a sheet, but not really. A sheet would do a layout no problem at all. And if you don't have the woodwork tools or the woodwork experience, then you'd be able to make a layout like this without touching any woodworking tools. The baseboard's made for you, and you would just cut the foam board and stick it on. The only trouble with foam board is a little fragile, as this is going to get knocked about a bit. I prefer to use timber. Really simple thing to do in the corner is just round the photo back scene round like that, and it just gives you a rounder edge. You don't get the sharp corners. The raised area is a bit of old timber I had kicking around. Literally, you can see the state of it. I think it was the back of an old unit or something. It was a bit high, but I was able to chip off one of the layers of it's almost like a hardboard on there, and that's given me the height that I wanted. I also had this kicking around, which was I bought this for a 009 Harbour layout. So this is a plastic sheet, fine cast building sheets apparently. Really simple. You paint it dark grey and you wash it with a very thin grey wash, leave it flat, and that's what you end up with, this really great brick effect. I could do a video on it, but it's really that simple. You just mix a wash and brush it over the bricks. If it doesn't look quite right, you wash it with a bit of kitchen roll and you start again. It's really that simple, and that's going to go on the edge of there, which will give me a really nice edge. I've also started dry brushing the track. I painted the rails the other day, and dry brushing track again is really as simple as that. You get a paint. I'm having to use the Revell Dark Earth. It's got a slightly more orange tint than the Humbrol 29, which people usually use. Bit of paint on the end of the brush, and then you literally run it over the sleepers, a few at a time. And what it does, if I can zoom in, it picks out, they mould grain on the timber. And what it basically does is picks the grain of the timber out. But it's that simple. One of the problems with model railways, and those of you which are familiar with my channel and my Train Shed Tuesday rants, if you haven't watched Train Shed Tuesday, so I've got problems with my tripod here, please do. It's where I tend to sort of rant and ramble about things. And one of the things with model railways is everything is made to look much more complicated than it really is. You see these really nicely done layouts, and they sometimes like to give the impression that it's a skill, it's a craft. Nah, it's not. It's really simple. Most model railways can be done really simply to a very high standard. So, you know, don't worry. You know, it's always, you can always try things like that. It's relatively easy. So anybody could build this layout to the stage I've got to, because your baseboard's made. You can make your ends really simply. I have done a little wiring tube here. Again, loads. I've done two videos on this. You could just use your finger because it's that close, but it's simple to do. I'm next going to put the edge on here because I can then ballast all my track. When the track's ballast, then I can work out where I want the buildings to go and go from there. The challenge has gone really well. Few people have asked. There's a couple of Americans have pointed out to me that apparently in America these shelves, because they're imperial, are 24, which is the same length, but they're 10 inches, not 9. I'm not going to worry about that. Although I said in the original video, look, don't go buying a big board and using it as fiddle yard. Well, hell, why not? You know, so long as the scenic part of the layout is 23.5 centimetres, which is 9 inches, by 60 centimetres, which is more or less 2 feet, I don't mind. As soon as we go away from that, well, where do you draw the line? So if somebody says, well, can I make it 6 inches wider or 3 inches longer or whatever? Well, then if I say yes to that, I've got to say yes to 6 inches longer and 9 inches longer. And the whole point of this is what can you make on that floating shelf? But loads of people said they're going to have a go. Looking forward to seeing the videos, the pictures rather, on our website. So there we go. That's where I've got to with my 001. I've still got my 2 N-gauge ones. One is finished and one I'm working on. And I'm hoping to show progress with this. I'm enjoying this. The whole point of a micro layout is it doesn't take long to do, and it doesn't take long to do to quite a nice standard. I've discussed before that I don't have a great attention span. Sorry, just drinking tea from a Land Rover mug. And so it's no good. It's one of the reasons I haven't built the big layout yet. I need to have the motivation, and small layouts are good for that. I can work on something, put them down for a little while, work on another one and come back. This one I think will be quite nice. I've got a couple of really nice locos to put on it. If you didn't see the earlier video, I've got quite a few Bagnalls, some really nice ones. Got this rather nice Electrotren NCB, National Coalboard loco, and I've got another one of those in black. I've got a few nice locos that will run on here, and I've got a few wagons. I've got wagons that I played with the couplings. So I've taken one coupling hook off. And what I've also done is, if you look at that hook, it's straight down. I've taken the actual crook of the hook off, like that. And that means that they'll uncouple much easier. So we will see. It's possible. Oh, that's gone out of focus. It's possible this might even one day be an exhibition layout. I enjoyed exhibiting my N-gauge layout, and I particularly enjoyed getting a couple of nice messages from people. I let their kids have a go at playing with what is really... Oh, sorry, I can't edit, so you just have to put up with these faux pas, bloopers. This rather nice, you know, exhibition standard layout, and I was quite happy to let their kids have a fiddle with it and play. And I got some nice comments. So I like the idea of letting people have a go at shunting an exhibition. So who knows? This might form one of them. We will see. It's just come to me talking to you people, actually. So there we go. Thank you for watching. Trainshed Tuesday will be again on next Tuesday. Lots of interesting things to talk about. So if you haven't watched them before, have a little look. Every Tuesday, well, not every Tuesday, most Tuesdays, I do a Trainshed Tuesday, which is a bit of a ramble and a rant about railways and life and all sorts of things. So if you're still watching this, look out for that on Tuesday. Thank you for your time.